Okay, so in this video, I'm going to show you some of the other controls Simpler gives you over the sound of your sample. So if I go to the Controls tab, then I can see three areas. The first area is a classic filter, and it does exactly what you might expect it to do if you are familiar with filters. If I play this, it's applied a low-pass filter to the sample. Of course, I can change the shape of that filter to make it a high pass or a band pass or any of the other standard types of filters. Of course, I can control the frequency and the resonance with these controls or with this yellow ball in the middle here. I can adjust the slope of the filter, either 12 decibels per octave or 24. I can also just turn the filter off if I don't want it. If I press the envelope square, this takes me to the filter envelope. And this is the envelope that controls how fast the filter acts and how long it stays. It just controls the shape of the filter. And you do have to adjust the amount for it to actually work. So I'm going to boost that up to the highest it'll go, 72. And now this filter envelope will affect the filter frequency. And that's pretty neat. I'm going to turn the filter off for right now and go over to this section. There are two envelopes in the third section here. There's the amplitude envelope, which you are probably familiar with at this point. There is the familiar attack, decay, sustain, release. And so you can adjust the sound that way. The amplitude envelope here also has loop, beat, sync, and trigger modes, just like the envelopes we saw in last week's wavetable videos. You can also access the pitch envelope in this window. Now the pitch envelope will of course affect the pitch. So if we go to the amount tab and we change that by say 1 octave, then when I press a key, it will transpose the sample by an octave according to the shape of this pitch envelope. And if I go to -12, it will have the opposite effect. This is a very common effect in a lot of electronic music, and it's something that you should be aware of. Now at the bottom of the amplitude and pitch envelope window, there are controls. We can pan the sample. The spread is an interesting parameter. It makes a copy of the signal and then uses phase shift to sort of spread it out in the stereo field. Let me take the pitch envelope off. And if you're not listening to that in headphones, you may not hear a difference, but if you are listening in good headphones, you can hear it does make quite a big difference. There are some other controls here that we're not going to worry about for now. You will find out what these do in other plugins, and then you can apply that knowledge in a backwards fashion later. But there is a master transposition and detune control for the sample, and there's a glide control. So with a drum sample, it wouldn't really make much sense to have glide, but if we were using a more melodic sample, you could set this to glide between two notes, so you would have kind of a sliding sound between two notes. In the middle here, there is an LFO section, and you can assign that LFO to control the volume, the pitch, the panning, or if we turn the filter back on, the filter. And this LFO works in exactly the same way as the LFOs in last week's videos. You can control the rate, making it slower or faster. You can choose for it to be measured in hertz or tempo synced. And you can choose an LFO shape. And so there are many options for the LFO. If I adjust the pitch of the sample, it'll do some pretty weird stuff. It's like having a double pitch envelope there. So Simpler has the filter and filter envelope, the LFO section, and the amplitude and pitch envelope. If you are looking at the sample window, you still have the most salient and important controls displayed at the bottom. You have the amplitude envelope controls and the master volume. You have the LFO rate and shape controls at the bottom, and you have the filter controls at the bottom.